this year's sponsor of the CEO Speaker Series, which is Northwest Cosmetic Labs. We appreciate them and their financial support that allow us to do this. Most importantly today, we want to thank our special guest, Jeff Newgard, from the Bank of Idaho, for taking time. Yeah, great, give it up. We're just grateful that you could take time out of your schedule to support the Chamber and to help us, those of us who want to be successful, who want to be CEOs someday, or just want to know what's going on in our town, a good chance to get to know one of the leaders in our community. So thanks for coming, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Those of you who haven't been to this before, this is just kind of an interview forum. We'll sit down and I'll ask questions, and we'll let Jeff do most of the talking because a lot of you have heard me speak a few times, and I pretty much said it all. So today is our turn to learn from Jeff. We will have question and answers at the end, so if you have questions, hang on to them and we'll throw them out. We'll see if we can't trip Jeff up some.
That's right.
But to start with, Jeff, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to be where you are today.
Well, the first thing, before I answer that directly, I want to introduce my wife, Savannah Newgard.
Good call.
I was even embarrassed for you.
So you got to check out her earrings. So I wouldn't be here if I didn't have her support, and moving her out to this metropolis and the best place in the West to live, and to have her support. I owe so much to a great supportive wife. So I love you, and thanks for being here. And then to all of you. I mean, you've all welcomed me into this community, so I personally thank you. This has been such a great move for us. We've had so many great friends and great experiences here that I owe it to all of you as well. Thank you for inviting us into your community. So I grew up in Montana, a little town north of Missoula, a little 3,500 population town on the Salish Kootenai Native American reservation. It's an open reservation. My dad had a service station oil distributorship business, and for the first 7 years of my life, we lived in an apartment behind the service station. So when I say I grew up in a small business, I literally did. Grow up in it. My earliest memories are cleaning up oil spills and cleaning tools and jumping the pumps and answering the phones and greeting customers. And I loved it. And it's in my blood to this day is to support small business, because firsthand I got to see somebody striving after dreams and working hard, taking all the risk. And so it's still a passion of mine to this day. And then another kind of weird thing is in Montana, I learned how to play golf. And my parents really were grooming me to play competitively. So they took me to golf pros all over the place and really worked hard to develop John Potter would say, a mediocre swing. But and my dream was to play on the tour someday. Obviously, I didn't make it, or wouldn't be sitting here. But I went to Scottsdale Community College, played 2 years there, got an injury, and had to stop that dream, which was pretty crushing for me. It started when I was 4 and had this as a dream. And as my wife says, Savannah says, you either turn to drugs or Jesus. And, and at that moment I turned to Jesus, which is a good choice, I think. And actually went to, got my undergraduate degree in theology. And about my junior year, I went to my professor and said, I don't even know if I have the calling here. And he said, well, pretty much if you have to ask, there's your answer. I said, great, okay, good. So I decided, okay, I'll go back into business, but I still want to graduate with my theology degree. So I have my bachelor's degree with a minor in Greek and Hebrew. I love Greek, not so much Hebrew. But then took business courses that transferred to my MBA for Washington State University. Go Cougs. Go Cougs. Is there a Coug over there? No. So anyway, used a lot of my golf background and athletics. That was a key part of what has led me here.
Good, good. Well, I was going to say I hope to see you on the golf course for our chamber tournament in August, but being as you want to go pro, maybe I don't want to see that.
Well, you know, I quit for about 20 years, and because I just couldn't kind of wrap my brain around not competing at that level. And recently when we moved here, John Potter, the general manager at the Idaho Falls Country Club, met with me and invited me to join, and I did, and picked up the game again, and have really enjoyed being involved.
Good. Somewhere along the way, I've heard rumor that you were once the youngest CEO in the state of Washington.
That's kind of a fleeting title.
We don't say young long.
That's right.
Can you tell me about that? How did that happen?
Sure.
What do you attribute that to?
So when I got into banking, first of all, I couldn't find a job after I got my MBA. I searched everywhere, and it was one of the reasons I had the MBA on there. And I'd have employers say, well, you're just going to want to move up. We want somebody to stay in this entry-level position, which I never really understand anyway. But I was just about to take my MBA degree off my resume just so I could get a job. I went into this little bank in Walla Walla, Washington. So great that they named it twice. And I said, you know, I'll start out as a teller. I don't care. I just want to start. She said, you know what? Why don't you go to a bigger bank, kind of get your start there, and then come back and see us someday. And so I actually was able to get a job doing asset liability management, which is a really heady, complicated technical job, analyzing the interest rate risk of a bank. So that's kind of where I got my start. And then really realized I wanted to be a CEO of a bank someday, which was nuts. Everybody I told would just pat me on the head and say, yeah, sure you do. Yeah. And what my boss at the time was CFO, and he said, you know, if that's something you really want to do, it's going to be hard to do here because you don't have a lending background. And that's the biggest risk in a bank. And nobody's going to do your job. It's so technical. And I said, what if I created a training program to become a lender? And what if I found somebody for my job? And he kind of smiled at me and he said, kid, if you can do that, knock yourself out. So, you know, at that time, there was a lot of aging executives. And it was always funny to me, nobody really wanted to pick their brains. Nobody really wanted to be mentored under them. And I would follow these guys all around on my spare time to learn as much as I could from them. And they actually helped me to design a loan officer training program. So I put that together, and then by luck, somebody from Norway moved over, married a lady from Walla Walla, and he'd done this job in Norway. So I brought his resume in, I brought my training program in, and I said, okay, I'll be done in 90 days. I'll go through the loan officer thing. So I did that, got transferred to a market, grew that to about a $20 million portfolio. And long story short, became a region president in my late 20s. 114 employees, 26 branches. And I was told, you need to go back to Walla Walla. We have a region down there, and you need to terminate the executive group. So I walk in that branch, and there was that lady who told me to go get experience and then come back. And she looked at me and she said, you came back to fire me. And I said, no, I didn't have any negative feelings at all. I actually felt really bad, but it's just ironic how life goes. And one thing that I did was, in my golf background, visualization is pretty important. So when you set up to a putt or a shot, you visualize it before you do it. So every night before I go to sleep, and this is really weird, but it's true, is I would visualize what it would be like to be CEO of a bank. What would I wear? Really cool socks. You know, what things would I say? What kind of policies would I put in place? What kind of culture would there be? And so I would do that every night before I drift to sleep. And each night was kind of fun because it's, okay, what am I going to do today? And what I realized, or tonight, I realized is that it narrowed that gap. I started dressing differently. I started reading differently. And then when I had an opportunity, I jumped on it and it was a small bank. It was a $40 million 2-branch bank in Yakima. But at 32, I became CEO of it, then tripled the size of it.
Wow. So what did you do to make him mad enough to send you to Idaho?
Well, we sold the bank. Sold the bank. And I was an executive for them for a couple of years. They treated me very well. We had a lot of fun. We were the official bank of the Seahawks, so we went to a lot of Seahawk games. And that was fun. But I really missed running my own bank and leading a team and being CEO. I just didn't feel fulfilled. So that's what brought us out here.
Perfect. So tell us some of the experiences you had with the Bank of Idaho here, some of the things you've done with your team that have been different, and how they brought success to your bank.
Okay. Well, the first thing when I walked in is you have to kind of know where you're going. You can't lead a team unless you know what your vision is. Where do you want to take this thing? And my philosophy is the people that are closest to the issues have the best solutions. So you ask your team. So that's the first thing I did is I met with every single employee, over 100 people, and asked them, what do you think our strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats are? Where do you think we should go? And so I really listened first. That's the first key. And then went to my executive team with that information and said, okay, now we know this stuff, where are we going to take this thing? And so it was very collaborative. And then I went to the board with our plan. And it's something we've implemented. It's something that everybody's galvanized around. It supports.
Great. Let's take a little bit of a turn here. Because we talk a lot about our successes, but can you share with our audience a mistake you've made and what you've learned from that? Because we all make big mistakes, we just don't like to talk about them.
Sure.
So we're going to ask you to talk about something you probably don't want to talk about. I found that I learned the most from my mistakes than I do from my successes.
Absolutely, and that's so true. And that's part of life. If you think it's all about success, it isn't. Those obstacles are a given, and they're there to teach you and to make you better. One thing I feel the most bad about as I look back is I had a really good employee that was a manager or actually a loan officer. And he had really good potential. He actually, we became such good friends. He was best man in our wedding, and I was best man in his wedding. And I thought more of his abilities than what he could do. So I promoted him to be a manager, and he just was spinning out. And I kept supporting him, kept pushing him because I just knew he could do this. And essentially burned him out, absolutely fried him to the core, so much so that he left me at the bank, and he was about to just lose it all, and I just pushed him too hard. So I really learned a valuable lesson to listen, to take those cues that not everybody's designed to do what you think they're going to do. I mean, you can give them those opportunities, but you can push people too hard, and that was something I learned the hard way.
Who's the person that pushed you in your life? That pushed you hard? Because everybody has somebody that motivated and inspired them. Who was your pusher?
Gosh, that's
your wife doesn't count.
Yeah, well, she's my biggest fan, my biggest critic. So let me get both on that. It's got to be balanced.
I have one of those too.
Yeah. You know, I think my parents really instilled in me the drive to not be satisfied, and I think golf really taught me a lot about pushing yourself and looking right here. I mean, you can't blame anybody else. There's nobody to turn around and say, well, it's your fault. You know, the course was set up wrong. It's how you. It's all right there, the guy on the other side of that stick.
I was at the driving range last night. I swear it was a course.
Yeah, that's bad equipment.
Okay, so your dad was, your parents were your inspiration to make you, but who's your inspiration? Who is it or what is it that made you want to go into bank?
You know, I wish I had some grandiose thing there. It was a job. That's why. I just got out of my graduate school, and I really needed a job, and I couldn't find one. It was, this was in the 90s when it was tough to find a job. So then once I got in it, I realized that I really love it. And then I found out that I could serve small businesses, and then I really loved it. And it's my passion today.
It's funny how something you can stumble into something that you had no desire to do whatsoever, and it become your passion. That's awesome. It's great that you enjoy your work that much. You've obviously got tremendous leadership skills. I watched you walk the room, and I look at the room, and I see a lot of leaders in our community that look up to you. How do you develop your leadership skills? What do you attribute as your number one tool you go to the most as a leader when working with people in your bank and in the community?
Number one is be authentic. Don't try to be, I'm not sitting up here trying to be some big fancy CEO. I'm just Jeff Newgard. That's what you get. And that's the relationship you'll get with me, is just be authentically you. That's my number one thing. And that's how Savannah and I live, is we're just straight up. And then really surround yourself with exceptional people. Exceptional people on the team. Plus, we love to hang out with great people. So I think that just it's a momentum thing. It's kind of catchy. You get better by the people that you're around, you associate with.
Everybody lifts everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So, I've had some experience in finance in my past lives, and I understand how overregulated the banking industry is, and I can't even imagine what you have to deal with on a daily basis. If there was something you could change about the banking industry, what would it be?
Well, so regulation is a big deal for community banks. The thing that I don't think really gets resonance in Washington is how we truly, as community banks, truly impact the business community. I mean, that is our central customer, and that's who we really love. That's who we serve. The big boys, they have a place, and but after the crisis, they're the ones that grew. The community banking industry has consolidated and shrunk. So I don't think that's a good thing for Main Street America. I think we need to really advocate for community banks because it translates right back to our communities. Because small businesses are the ones that are the backbone of our communities.
That's awesome. Some of us in the audience have to deal with this, and we know you have multiple locations throughout the state of the bank.
Yeah.
Share with us some of the difficulties you encounter with having to be a leader in multiple places, be a leader in a place where you can't be all the time to see what's going on, and how you overcome those obstacles.
It is tough. Go up to Island Park and Ashton and St. Anthony, you blow a whole day just to go up there. And I still do it, but it's such a time commitment. And you do have such demands on your time that you want to be pretty frugal with your time. That's the most precious thing you have. So one thing is I develop a really strong relationship with my executive team. That's kind of my number one, because they're the ones that are going to share the influence out. We use Skype so that I monthly or quarterly communicate to the team. The other thing is we set up a voluntary leadership team called EAGLE, and it's Executives Advisory Group Leaders. And the reason for that weird title is just for the acronym, to get the EAGLE. But essentially what it is you volunteer to help execute the strategic plan. So you can be the lowest level employee, you can be an executive, it doesn't matter. You have to, and it's a half hour, so it's 7:30, so you have to commit a half hour of your own time to participate. You don't get paid for it. And it's voluntary, and the whole purpose is to help us execute the strategic plan. So that they are broken out into groups and they get assigned, or they come up even on their own with projects that will help advance the strategic plan forward. And so we really, truly, it's an engagement thing, and it's done so that they truly have an impact on our organization. It's not just lip service.
Are you seeing results?
Yes, they've really helped us.
Good.
Yeah, and they're energized. We have one young lady who works evenings, and so she's basically in her bathrobe. Not really in her bathrobe, but she's in the morning. She's there calling in from home on her own time, and that inspires me. Like, good for you. You care enough. You want to be part of this thing.
That says a lot about your team.
Great.
The Bank of Idaho's tagline is committed to community. And I think everybody in this room probably knows you've been very involved with the symphony. We're looking forward to seeing you riding in the parade on Wednesday with the rodeo. Why do you feel it's so important that you be out in the community, a part, and engaged in doing all the things you do?
Well, the easiest thing you can give is your money. To me, that's easy. You can write checks all day long, but giving your time, that's precious. That's really special. And to me, it's worth that. We are truly committed. And we show that commitment by our time, by me getting out there at the lead and donating my time. We do it on the weekends, we do it on holidays. I will tell you, we don't own our own holidays, and it's because of our commitment to this community. And our goal is to really link the bank to the community that supports us. It's really that simple. We're in love with small businesses and small business owners, so that's a niche within the community that we really work hard to serve.
Why is it you think? Because I see there's two types of business people in our community: those who actively seek to give back to the community, and those who don't. How do we, through your personal example, how do we convince others to invest back in the community, give it their time and their energies? What would you tell somebody that was on the hump right now, trying to decide whether they want to volunteer to serve on a nonprofit board or to donate their time and energies at the zoo or somewhere else? What would you tell them if they were at that pivot, trying to decide if they wanted to give time or not?
Well, the first thing is I lead by example. I don't do anything or advocate anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So it works for me, I guess, is what I would tell them. I said that you can get so much out of it if you do commit. You get more than you put in, and it makes all the community better. So why wouldn't you?
That's good. I'm going to go self-serving for a moment.
Okay.
Because the Bank of Idaho is a member of our Chamber of Commerce and a strong partner, and they help us out in so many ways. Take a moment and share with us what the Chamber does for you, and then most importantly, share with me what more of how the Chamber could further help you and your businesses.
Well, it's kind of like when was it Jesse James he was asked why he robbed banks. He said that's where the money is. Well, that's why we go to the Chamber. That's where the businesses are, and it should be that way. And I would like to see the Chamber become even more ingrained in our community, into our business community, and that's why we are supportive. That we would like to see the Chamber grow even more in its influence and its advocacy and its education. And because we love small businesses, the Chamber is a natural fit for us.
I'd like to hear that. You're still young. You may not have any yet. Any regrets? When you look back and see anything you've done in your business career that you look back and you know, well, that was really stupid. I shouldn't have done that.
Well, like I said, you kind of mellow as you get older. You know, I've been a CEO since 2005, and you become a little more measured and a little less of a bull in a china closet, but you don't want to lose that fire either. And I think I still have it. Jared might keep nodding yes. Jared's our marketing and strategic development director at the bank. We work very closely together. I mean, you learn along the way. There's all sorts of opportunities where, man, I should have said this, or and if you're not self-aware and open to criticism and self-criticism, I think you limit yourself. So you always have to be open to that.
I'm a strong proponent that the greater the risk, the greater the reward. What's the biggest risk you've taken in your business?
The biggest one was, so I told you I had 2 branches. Our legal lending limit, the most that we could loan to one borrower in aggregate, was $500,000. That's not much. It's hard to grow a bank when you can only loan $500,000 to one person. So we barely could keep up with just the revolving of pay downs and just natural pay downs. So I was kind of having to panic, and we weren't making a lot of money. So there was a thing back pre-crisis called a trust preferred security, and it's offered to small banks, and essentially what it is you take money in, capital in at the holding company, downstream it to the bank, and you increase your bank's capital level. It's kind of an artificial, you're really using debt and calling it equity. Kind of a weird thing. But they do that for community banks because we don't have access to the capital markets that big guys have. So I applied for that trust preferred security and was declined because we weren't making enough money. So I thought, okay, it's an obstacle. How do we overcome it? So I went to another bank, Columbia Bank out of Seattle, and I said, how about you loan us money and we'll put the entire bank as collateral. That was the biggest risk I've ever taken. That's what we did. We popped the entire bank for 1 year, and what I did is we had all these loans that we had participated with other banks, and so the next day after we got that loan, our lending limit went to 1.5 million, so it tripled. So I went to all my participating banks and I bought back over $10 million the next day. And so that paid for the loan. Then we kept buying back and tripled the size of the bank. So we really were able to grow. And then I was qualified to get the trust preferred the next year. So I took out that bank loan, got the stock free and clear. But I don't know that I'd even do that today. That was really gutsy. But I was 32 years old. Bulletproof, maybe.
We are invincible when we're young.
Yeah, it kind of makes me shudder now.
Yeah, I bet.
Especially if I'd known the crisis was coming right around the corner, the big tsunami. Oh my goodness.
Now that we know that about you, I'm almost afraid to ask the next question. Where do you see the Bank of Idaho in 5 years?
My dream for Bank of Idaho is truly to be the Bank of Idaho. I want to be in the entire state. That's my dream for us. And I would love to see us be a billion dollar bank. I'd like to see us be a larger presence. The other thing is with our strategic plan, my dream is that when we come into a community, other bankers will shudder. Other bankers will tremble. That's my goal. And I know it's lofty, but I think it's important to have those kind of dreams. In 10 years, I don't even know what banking's going to look like. I mean, if you have that crystal ball, I'd love to see that one. I mean, with the pace of technology and the consolidation going on, 10 years, I struggle to even know what it looks like. Honestly, I mean, I could dream something up for you, but I'd probably be wrong. No, we're not going to hawk the Bank of Idaho.
You shared with us in the beginning your theological background.
Yeah.
And I think that might give us a lot of insight into the next question. What are some of your personal guiding principles? What makes you do what you do, and how do you make decisions?
Well, isn't it kind of ironic that I end up having that degree and then I end up in a town that has over 50% LDS and certainly a religious community. And it has really helped me be empathetic and understanding of different viewpoints and appreciative of different viewpoints and actually enjoy it, where people are coming from and their commitment. I actually really like that I admire. Guiding principles, first thing is you have to know where you're going. What do you want to do? But if you don't know that, then, I mean, I'd start there. Surround yourself with the best people you know, best team you can find, best team you can pay for, and then pay another $10,000 or $20,000 for that person. Make sure that they feel their value. Here's another funny thing I've really done is dare to perform poorly. And that seems weird, doesn't it? But one of the things that I've struggled with in my career is public speaking. It's always been something that I feared, and it would give me just all sorts of physical ailments, and tried lots of ways. But I found that just putting myself in the position of public speaking, emceeing the fiddling contest down in Pocatello, and being at the Chuckers game and emceeing there, and I just, every chance I get, just like sitting here, I throw myself in the most uncomfortable position I can, and I didn't always perform very well. I performed kind of shakily, and Savannah was always nice enough to help me. Well, next time maybe don't look at your notes so much. And I realized that I spoke a lot better when I wasn't tied to my notes, when I just spoke from my heart. And so there again, you learn. But if you don't dare to stumble, if you just say, you know what, I'm not a public speaker, I'm not going to do that, then you never develop. And in golf, if you're working on, say, changing your grip to be a better grip, you're not going to go out of the chute playing very well. You're going to play poorly for quite a few rounds, and you just have to grind through it and suck it up and just play poorly. And then pretty soon, you work your way out of it. You're playing better than when you started playing poorly. So you just have to dare to do that. Visualize what you want. So going back to visualization, see yourself, see the bank, and I do that with the bank. You say, I actually have things that I can visualize what the bank will look like in 5 years specifically. And then expect obstacles. Just like in golf, what fun would it be to play a golf course that didn't have water or traps? Maybe you'd like that, I don't know. So that's no fun. It's no fun to play a course that doesn't have any trees or any obstacles. And yet, we think life should be without obstacles. Well, heck, that's no fun. We have to expect it, and then we learn from how we overcome those. And just, hey, there's an obstacle. We went to take the kids to Jackson, and we packed up, and I did a poor job, and I forgot the girls' little backpacks that had their swim clothes in it, because we were going to go to a hotel, go swimming, and the girls were all jazzed up about it. Of course, we unloaded and said, so, where's the girls' swimsuits? Like, what do you mean? Well, I put them right, I don't know, I didn't see them, so I didn't pack them. And, I said, hey, this is a great opportunity to get them new swimsuits. She didn't see the humor in it, but, she's, you're always so positive. Well, what are you going to do? Roll up and crawl in fetal position and cry? You just got to fix it. I said, I could go drive back and get it. I mean, we'll fix it.
They don't have a Walmart there. This place is.
It was actually a good place. Yeah, we found it very nice.
That's great advice. I can't tell you how many times I've had my teeth kicked out, but they come back.
Yeah.
It only hurts for a little while.
One last thing I'll add, and this comes from Jack Welch, who's an inspiration to me. He has a quote that says, good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and then relentlessly drive it to completion. And that is, I live that. I am so relentless on driving our strategic plan to completion that everybody on that team knows that. right, Jared? And even our vendors, even our relationships like MCS understand this is not a passive sport for me. This is not something we just kind of want to do. I'm passionately, we're going to drive that thing. And the team has taken on to it. They're passionate about it too. They're relentless as well.
You talk a lot about small business, which we chamber truly appreciate. Do you have any advice for small businesses? Anything you'd like to share with them on how they can become successful?
Number one, you have to have your niche. You have to do something that you're the best at. Jack Welch there again says if you can't be number one, then don't compete. If you don't have a competitive advantage, then don't do it. So find out what that competitive advantage is and then exploit the heck out of it.
I want to change gears again. Last month's out of the box launch.
Oh yeah.
Bank of Idaho was one of our presenting businesses. And you guys stood up during your time and you chose not to talk about the Bank of Idaho. You chose to talk about something completely different. Would you share that with our audience?
Sure.
And why it's so important?
Yeah, you know, that was kind of a proud moment too, because it's, and this is uncomfortable, sitting here talking about myself. I'd rather have the focus on others. And with ESGR, that's Employer Support of the Guard and Reserves. And that is a department underneath the Department of Defense. It was created in 1972. And its whole purpose is to educate employers and promote hiring Guard and Reservists. And then it's also educating Guard and Reservists on how to go through deployment, what kind of notice to give to their employers, that sort of thing. And I believe in our men and women that put on that uniform and fight for our freedom. It's something that really gets me choked up. It's our freedom isn't free, and we all, I believe, as Americans, owe it to our country to serve in some way. And this is my way of serving our country. I didn't put on a uniform, and I've always kind of felt guilty about that. And so this is my way of supporting those who do serve, and to encourage my colleagues, my business leaders, to support them. And I actually went down to San Diego and I saw these young men and women that are reservists. So they have full-time jobs that they go back to. And they're learning to be MPs, the military police. They're learning how to, drive tanks. And bullets don't know the difference between reservists and full-time. The equipment doesn't know the difference. They have to perform at the best top level in order to live, in order to survive. And it just struck me that, shouldn't I support them? Shouldn't I do my part? They're putting it all on the line, and then coming back into the civilian world, I should probably do something to support them. So that's what our organization does. Bank of Idaho has somebody that has been deployed, and we support them. I love having Joe, who's in our analyst department. And by the way, we gave him a very nice gift on his deployment, and we just want to lavish him with the support as he goes and serves our country.
On the table back here, you'll find 2 stacks of these with some pins. Will you tell everybody what this is?
Yes.
And what it does?
Yeah, so this is just one way to show your support of those men and women. And it doesn't obligate you to anything. We've had U.S. Bank look at this. We've had major corporations look at this. This does not obligate you to some secret contract. I promise you that. And what's cool is you can sign this. It's been signed by the National Chair of ESGR as well as the Secretary of Defense. You fill this out, you give it to us, and then we say, hey, there's another business or another person here that supports the Guard and Reserve, and then you get to frame this and put that in your business. And just by doing that, it encourages other people. So it's just kind of paying it forward a little bit and walking the walk. So I'd love for you to, if you would, fill that out and display that in your business. It's just one little way we can show our support to those men and women.
Our chamber has filled one of those out and submitted it. I'm here to tell you, we haven't been spammed with emails, we haven't been calls asking for money.
No way.
But we're extremely proud to support this organization and to support Jeff, because you were the regional.
I'm the area chair, but I've been involved since '01, right when the towers fell. I had an employee that got deployed, and so I had gone through it myself and received an award through it. But the thing is, the cool thing is we're not a fundraising organization because we're under the Department of Defense, so we have a budget. So we don't need to raise money, which is kind of unique. So yeah, you don't have to worry about us knocking on your door. We just want your heart. We just want your support. That's more important to us.
So we encourage everybody here, if you have filled one out, take the time to fill one out and rip off the bottom and take the top up with you. My last question is, how many of you guys have driven by Broadway and Memorial recently? And have seen all the construction and it's right in your back door. Tell us what's going on down there. What you can expect to see soon.
So that's a cool project, isn't it? That's right in our front door of downtown. It's going to be the Bank of Idaho building, so we'll have Bank of Idaho signage on that building. We will occupy the second floor of it, the entire 10,000 square feet. I'll be housed there as well as my executive team. We will also house the wealth management area there, and there will be a law firm on the third floor. There will be Lucy's Pizza on the corner, which is great pizza. We love that little business. And then there's Smoke and Fins will be on the main floor of that three-story building. And we're doing it for a number of reasons. If it was any other place, we probably wouldn't make that kind of move. But because it's right there in our front or backyard, however you want to look at it, one is I wasn't going to have another bank come in there. That wasn't going to happen. That would freak me out. Or credit. That would freak me out. And the other thing is, if I'm really committed to community, if I'm really committed to downtown, then I'm going to step up and take the first, be the first anchor tenant of that thing and show my real support. And then we've had to figure out how to pay for it. It's not cheap, but we are and we will. And it's just, sometimes you just have to step up and make it happen. Oh, it is, yeah. Oppenheimers are great.
What are you looking at?
First quarter is our set date. They've had October as a date. I don't know if they'll make it, but I wanted to wait until next year.
All right, well, have any questions from the audience? And this is your chance to pick the CEO of Bank's brain.
Well, so many of your friends.
Yeah.
You can always do this over. Oh, Randy L. Yes, Randy.
I would just like to say that, I appreciate our friendship, and I came all the way from Fort Hall on a whim. I got lost. I didn't get there on time. But, it's really good to see, that, we're all collaborating and we're building that partnership and building that friendship between the city of Idaho Falls. You guys don't see us a lot, the tribal representation a lot. I'm glad to see Summer here representing the Fort Hall Casino. But, we try to do our best to get out and really reach out to a lot of the businesses here and extend an invite to come to Fort Hall as well. But, I do have to say, we are here during Work on a Roundup Rodeo. It's one of our bigger sponsorships in August. It's right before our festival. Our festival is the second week of August, and it's our largest cultural celebration. It's actually considered one of the top 10 powwows in Indian country. That includes all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. And it's right here in the state of Idaho. It's right here in our backyard. So I do extend that invite for all of you guys to come and check it out. But on the other note, I'm just saying that it's good to be here to hear what you have to say, and I've got your back 100%, and it's really good to see you build a relationship and you do care. You don't see that a lot from big CEOs, big CFOs, so it makes a big difference. So thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Well, you missed the very beginning. I talked about growing up on the reservation and also thanking everybody here, and you're certainly in that category of support. welcoming us to town. And one thing is I have this little emblem here. Randy thought that I should wear it, but I didn't know if it would clash with my outfit. But but her dad actually gave me a name of endearment. I call it my Indian name, and it's touches the clouds because of my stature, I think, my height. But the Chauvin tribe has been so kind as to welcome us to this community, and I love the tribe. It's one that I think needs our support. We actually, through the symphony, bringing in a world-renowned flute, a Native American flute player that will combine with the symphony, with the orchestra, and drummers, native drummers. And one of my criteria was, we'll go ahead and support that, but we need to have education that goes down to the reservation and educates and has a positive influence on the reservation. So there again, it's not just lip service, it's actually, let's make this better. So thanks for your partnership, man.
Thank you. I just want to put something out on just what you said, is that, our reservation, we have a tribal high school. We have a music room that is not being used. And so this outreach, having him and I talk about some of the needs of the reservation, he didn't know it, but, we do have a need with our own tribal high school students. We have a music room. It's a beautiful music room. There's musical instruments stuck in a closet, and we just don't have a music teacher. We don't have a budget to pay for a musical teacher. If we can get a musical teacher and have that education, that one-on-one to say, because we have amazing tribal members that are just amazing artists, bead workers, and it's generational. And sometimes they feel like they can't continue that art or that musical instrument because they don't have the funding to help support buying a new instrument. So it's really sad to see this musical room not being used, and things like this. It's important both ways because we're educating each other on the needs and the education and the care. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jeff? It's an easy drive.
Yeah, well, they all know me. I mean, we're all friends. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of development that's going on here in Old Falls right now. I'm wondering, is there any specific development that you think is particularly exciting aside from your own new bank?
Oh gosh, there's so much activity. And we're enjoying the growth in our mortgage area because of the residential growth, but and we've just been going through this huge economic expansion, and you have to wonder, as rates move up and things start to slow, what does that look like? Of course, I'm a risk guy, and so that's kind of where I'm looking. I like to see all the development as it's. I don't know that I have a favorite. I just love to see success, and I love to see us grow. And Idaho Falls is quite a growing community. It's exciting to be a part of it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, with the economy being as good as it is, we all know there's always going to be a little bit of downturn, if not, falling into the debacle of 2008, 2009 area. What do you think we can do as a community to not fall off of this high place that we're at right now, where we're not being affected by a downturn?
I would say the biggest thing is to shock your projections. So one of the concerns I have is those businesses that have enjoyed really low interest rates. That can be an artificial stimulus. So that you think, okay, I can make these payments. But what happens if you shock that 1% or 2%? How does that look to your bottom line? Are you able to sustain it? If not, what can you do to prepare? Just being proactive and looking down the road instead of being reactive, I would say, would be the number one thing. We're doing the very exact thing. We shop our portfolios. We even take our customers, and when we're doing analysis on them, and that's kind of one thing that makes us a little unique, is that we sit down with our businesses and talk about those kind of things. You know, we've shopped your loans by 1 or 2%, and this is the effect on your bottom line. What do you think about that? Can you sustain that? And what are you going to do as a result? That's my number one thing, I guess I'd say. There's a bunch of others, I'm sure.
What things do you look for when you're hiring? Like, what are the indispensable items that you say, hey, look, I need this?
Well, the first thing is I want the very best. So if I'm hiring for a chief credit officer, I want the best I can afford, and then I pay a little extra. That's I meant that. In general, I look for not necessarily even experience. Sometimes I will, for example, our HR director doesn't have banking experience. So sometimes we can learn from other industries. I look for competency. I need to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And if it's an entry-level position, the aptitude to know what they're doing. And that they're committed. And I always say to new employees, you know, if you want to come in and clock in and hang out, we're not the place for you. We are not the place to hang out because we're a driving, going concern. We want to make progress, and we are grinding. And it's not always a 9-to-5 job. So it appeals to some people. Jeff?
So one thing that we deal with a lot is rate of change. In fact, to the point where we're being asked to disrupt ourselves, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
To get used to that rate of change. And there's a lot of things that I've seen change in the banking industry. You know, obviously more than I do. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, the current interest rate environment, the consolidation of banks environment, regulatory scrutiny, you know, technology, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity.
You bet.
I know you a little bit. You're what I would call a driver. Obviously, you want to be the Bank of Idaho. What do you see your biggest challenge for the Bank of Idaho be to get that role?
The biggest single threat we have in banking, not just Bank of Idaho, is cyber, because that's the new run on the bank. That's the new single biggest risk. Is one event can erode all of the confidence and trust that you have. So that's something that I've really educated myself on recently, getting certifications or certification, and really involved nationally in cybersecurity committee with banking. So it's something I think we need to be wide awake on. And I think as a country, we're a little reactive. I recently went to the U.S. Treasury and spoke to them about, I was invited to talk about critical infrastructures as it relates to cybersecurity. And I was a little bit disappointed that we're a bit still reactive. I wish we could get up to a point that we were more proactive in our battle with they're just like a half step ahead of us, the criminals. And they're good, they're getting better, they're getting more sophisticated. You see those scams, and you can see it by their funny language, you know, where they have broken English and say, oh yeah, that's a scam. Now they are copying your email, address line, and it's getting a lot more sophisticated, and there's a lot of money in it. So that's just a risk thing. I would say a challenge for us in growing is always capital constraints, and you know, we're not one of the big boys. So we're a small business. So I really resonate with small businesses. You can't just open 10 offices like Wells Fargo can. I have to kind of go onesie-twosie. I have to go into a smaller operation that I can afford, and then go into a bigger one, and I have to grow into it. So capital constraints is, but I think we have a plan to expand. Next one would be Twin, and then Boise after that.
Well, we want to thank you all for joining us today. Especially want to thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. It's been enlightening. It's been fun. I've known Jeff for just just over a year now. I love being able to call him a friend, because when he described himself as genuine, that's what I've seen. So, thanks for your leadership in our community, and thanks for being here.